up, everybody? Welcome back to the No Gimmicks podcast here on the DFPN. And we got a great show for you guys tonight. This is probably going to be a great debate going on here tonight. To help us out with what we got going on tonight, we had a special guest come in, helping us out, Mr. Mike Mueller. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
No problem, man. Thank you for your time tonight. And also, my co-host, the fabulous one, Frankie D. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, listen, man. As long as even though Honky Tonk Man's record has been broken, he did christen me the fabulous one. So I'm still too sweet, and I'm copacetic tonight, sir. How about you?
I am doing wonderful. I am doing wonderful. We got some good stuff to talk about tonight. But before we get into the show, normally we are in the confines of Patreon. Since we have a guest tonight, we figured we'd come outside those confines, give you guys this show live here on the book, on YouTube, everywhere that we're outside of it. So normally we're on that Patreon. So follow us on patreon.com/thatfeelingpodcast to tune in with us live. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bandcamp, also thatfeeling.bandcamp.com. And we also have the merch. It's laundry day for me, so I'm not rocking it tonight. But we do have merch available at the Teespring. Go to teespring.com and search for That Feeling Podcast or teespring.com/thatfeelingpodcast. What is up to Mr. Jeff Fountain? Now, fellas, before we get started, let me give a special shout out to BCP, the Bob Culture Podcast, and BCP Plus. We are now the sponsors of BCP Plus, as well as the USDN. So make sure you guys go check them out. Shout out to Rob over at the Bob Culture Podcast, all those guys over there, Kimmy, you, Mike, because you are a contributor to the BCP family. So thank you for coming over and sharing your time. But shout out to those guys, man. Awesome folks, man.
For sure.
Now, let's get into the show. Y'all know what the big talk is. You know what the big talk is right now. Jade Cargill, officially, it was announced yesterday, first on ESPN, that she had signed a multi-year deal with the WWE, and then the WWE confirmed that post with the post of their own. So it's official. Jade Cargill is now in the WWE. How are we feeling about it? Frank D, what's your thoughts?
I mean, congratulations to her that she decided to take a chance. You know, she tried out, I believe it said back in 2019 before she ever got to AEW. So for her to actually go and pursue it and be treated as a big star and a big deal, like I told you, man, in the post, nobody is going to outdo the WWE when it comes to hyping up stuff and when they want to bring somebody in. And it's basically kind of like a big F you to AEW, in my opinion, that they could bring her in and put her on the big stage and the big platform. And the fact that she is talking like a WWE superstar. She says,
already
when I was down there, I trained with the Daniel Bryans, not Bryan Danielson. I trained with the Daniel Bryans. You know what I'm saying? But he came from here. So already I'm like, oh, look at her. You're not calling her by Bryan Danielson. You're going Daniel Bryan. So you already pretty much know where this is going. So I think it's a good move. I think, like I said, they have the women don't get no focus, in my opinion. And I think now with somebody else coming in, it's going to be a fresh face. You're going to have fresh matches. Jade Cargill just looks like a superstar. It was like, it's like the old saying, like they used to do back in the WCW days, a big fish in a small pond. That's what Jade Cargill was to me in AEW. She's not necessarily the best wrestler, but you don't have to be the best wrestler. It's all entertainment. It's basically, she's going to find that out here in the WWE. Yeah. That's my thoughts on it.
All right. Mike, what you got?
Yeah, I think it's a smart move for her. She definitely is more of a sports entertainment type of character than a pro wrestler, and AEW loves their pro wrestlers. And it was good for her to kind of like get her sea legs in AEW and try her out. But it was definitely one of those things where I think they needed to push her to the top. And was she in the ring? Was she ready to go 20 minutes with Britt Baker, Chris Statlander, or Ruby Soho? Probably not. But you don't need that. You don't need that from a star. She has the it factor. She's got the look. She's got the ability, and she's green. You can mold her into whatever you want. I think this was definitely a huge dropping of the ball for AEW to not capitalize on her. I really thought that I thought she was never gonna lose that TBS title, and eventually this was going for like a title versus title sort of thing. That's how I would have booked it. And as soon as she lost that title, I was like, man, I don't really know what they're gonna do with her then. And then apparently they didn't know either, and she jumped ship. I think this is the right move for her. And as long as they don't try to make her something that she's not, which I don't think they will, I think I think the sky is the limit for her. I can definitely see her main eventing a WrestleMania with someone like Becky Lynch or Charlotte or Asuka. Like, she's got that level of talent for sure.
Right. You immediately put her in those conversations.
Absolutely.
Upon entering. And what's wild to me is that she hasn't had a match yet. And the level change that was from AEW to WWE is significant. It's hugely significant. That's what caught me. Go ahead.
No, and Becky Lynch already put a tweet out about her saying that she's a star.
Right.
So you already got the endorsement from Becky Lynch, which is one of the biggest female, wrestlers in the WWE. Mm-hmm. So I do agree. We said this on the last show, and I've been saying this, back and forth on Facebook. It's a huge, huge drop for AEW. That's a huge loss for them because, once again, definitely. It's another homegrown talent that you have lost to the other side. And it's crazy
it's
because
the first real homegrown talent you've lost.
Well, right. You put Cody in that.
But Cody, Cody came back.
Cody, right. Yeah. But, here's the thing. When it all comes down to what I've been reading about her situation, it all comes down to finances. If Tony Khan would have given her what she wanted financially, I think she would have stayed. You know what I'm saying? But I guess we'll see in a couple of years if it works out for her, not if she'll go back. Tony said the door is open for her to come back if she wants to come back. So
that's a smart move.
There. Yeah. Don't burn that bridge.
You don't have to.
That's a smart move by Tony. Yeah. Even though I know this kills him. I know this kills him.
Yeah. It kills him, but then it kills him, but then you can look at it like this. Okay. Tony, the one thing I like about Tony Khan is always looking to up the ante. He's always looking to, they're doing something, I'm going to top them. It's basically, it's like, dude, it's a bad comparison, really, when you think about it, but in reality, it's kind of like the same thing. So whenever the WWF would do something, WCW would do something to try to top them, right?
Right.
So if you're Tony Khan, they get Jade Cargill. Well, who am I going to get? Mercedes. I'll bring her in because I'll take the focus off of Jade Cargill.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's an even trade.
Yeah, and Mercedes, I think honestly, she's a bigger star than Jade Cargill right now. Because here's the thing:
right now,
the AEW fans, they know Jade Cargill, but do the casual WWE fans know who Jade Cargill is? No, but they know because the ESPN story. They know who she is now. So they're going to be intrigued until she gets in the ring. You can't wrestle and all this other crap. You know how the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
If she's hyped right, she's on the hype train right now. Yeah. But we'll see where this goes in a couple months.
Well, and I wanted to post something to you because I didn't know that Becky Lynch tweeted that out, and I think that's very interesting because when Becky Lynch won the NXT championship, I thought that was a really strange move. Like Dom winning the North American, that made a little bit more sense. Becky winning the NXT, I was like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless are you going to bring Jade into NXT first, have her immediately go into a feud with Becky for that NXT championship. Becky could drop that NXT championship. It ain't going to hurt her. And now you've immediately put some shine on Jade. Do you think that's something that they would do?
I don't think so because here's the interesting thing about that. So the Triple H tweeted about Jade Cargill, right?
Mm.
But there's been no tweet from Shawn Michaels about Jade Cargill. If she was going to come the NXT route, you would think Shawn Michaels would be like, "Hey, welcome to the family," and all that. So I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go with Jade right to the main roster. I think that they're probably thinking, listen, she's already had enough ring time in AEW, and she wasn't never on Rampage or what was it, the Dark Show and all that stuff. So I think they're going to immediately jump her. You can't take a woman like this and say, oh, we're going to have a multi-million-dollar whatever and all these multi-year deals with her to then bring her to NXT.
I guess, but but you just said that the casual WWE fan doesn't know who she is, so I don't think it's going to be. They're going to get to know
her who she is.
I think. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's just I mean a lot of people. So a lot of people didn't know who Stone Cold Steve Austin was either back in the day. You know what I mean? They just knew he was this dude from WCW or whatever, and he became a big megastar. So it's kind of the same situation. The casual fans don't know who she is, but now they're intrigued to find out who she is, and you got to catch that momentum. And they've been posting stuff like her in training in the Performance Center. They're building the story here. They're building debut. So why you're like, I'm not going to waste that on NXT, especially if we don't know what the future of NXT is right now with the television deal. I'm going to go right to where it's going to be.
That makes a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense. Me, in my brain, I think it would have been a smarter move for her to get used to that system by putting her in NXT first, which, to Mike's point, setting her up with Becky Lynch is a nice debut, no matter where you are. And if it's to get her used to the system, she's still a star, and she's coming in immediately holding the championship, carrying a division while learning the system. I think that would be the smarter move, but I wouldn't be mad to see her on the main roster first. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, and I'm not saying keep her in NXT for a year. I just mean like maybe 3 months.
Just get her used to the WWE style.
Where are the cameras? She's got to learn all that. It's a whole new game.
Well, my thing too is when I look at the investment here, I look at the television ratings here of who's watching the show, and the ratings for NXT are not up to the ratings of say Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. So I want her to be in front of the biggest audience we got. I want her to debut. I'll debut her at a pay-per-view. Is what I would.
That would be the best.
Not some random Monday Night Raw. I want to just bring her out there and have her cut her promo or something, and just like, who is this woman? You know what I mean? Right. And immediately on her debut, is what I would do. On her debut, she beats whoever the women's champion is, right there,
on the spot.
On the spot.
We haven't seen that since
the hell with this whole. Well, we'll build them up. No, let her come in right away and smash somebody, and let her go, kind of do the same thing she did in AEW, where she was undefeated for a while. I think that might tell the story. Because what else are they going to do? Bring her in and squash her to like Nia Jax or somebody, or you know what I mean? I'd love to see her come in
I think you definitely have her coming hard. Yeah. I think you definitely have her coming hot and hard, and I don't hate that, especially if you're having her take. I don't think I would have her do that to Rhea because I don't think that's good for Rhea. But I think Io Sky could do that, and it wouldn't kill her. So
I think you build to a Rhea.
Yes,
and there's your future right there.
There's your WrestleMania match.
Yeah, there's your.
I so think the WrestleMania match honestly would be Jade versus Charlotte Flair. That's where I would go.
Not mad at it.
I don't hate it.
That's what I would do because Rhea, and we talk about this all the time. Like Rhea Ripley is, in my opinion, is miscast. Rhea Ripley is a babyface, and I've seen her interactions at the house shows with the little kids. There's a lot of kids and teenage girls that love Rhea Ripley. So she's seriously miscast in her current, and right now, honestly, she's stale because they're not doing anything with her. They have nothing to do. So you bring in somebody
she's out right now with her engagement.
She's in Australia right now. She's hanging out with the kangaroos.
Yeah. I'll copy that. Well, then that would be the perfect time for her to come back, and same time Jade Cargill debuts and smash her and take the championship because you lost hope. You took your eye off the ball, so you went over and got married or whatever, and that's kind of like, I don't know, man. You're kind of messing with our storylines because people know, like, I mean, you're supposed to have this thing going on with Dom, but now look, Randy Savage and Elizabeth actually got a separation, a legal separation when they were split up because Macho Man didn't want anybody to know that they were actually married in case somebody would go and check it out. So you're kind of messing with the storylines here, people. You know what I mean? So they kind of frown upon that kind of thing. So Punisher.
Man, it's love, man. It's love. Can't punish people for being in love.
Punisher.
Oh man.
So I think Buddy Matthews is still under contract, bro, for a while.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so there's wild speculation on who may be next to follow. Because
I got an idea.
Who you
follow from AEW to WWE?
Yeah. Who's next to make the jump?
Ricky Starks.
You think so?
Yep.
I think he would do very well in WWE. I think he's got that sports entertainer in him.
He's close to Cody, just like Jade Cargill is close to Cody.
Yeah.
He basically said that was one of her reasons to come was Cody. And I'll tell you another one too. If he's smart, he'd go. Wardlow.
I
think so. I think so too.
I think Wardlow's the option right now. I think I've for a while, I don't know what his contract's like, but for a while I thought Hobbs was tailor-made for WWE.
That's another one. That's another one.
Yeah, Hobbs was my choice, but given that Wardlow's off TV and they've dropped the ball on him several times, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go over there, and I think he would do very, very well in WWE.
They'll make him into the second coming of Batista.
Wardlow was supposed to be that in AEW.
Yeah,
it's like you do this whole story with MJF, you finally beat MJF, and then they do nothing with him, and then they give him the trashiest, shittiest music I ever heard, and it's like nothing. It's like I thought the entrance was kind of cool, him being backstage and the camera follows him out or whatever. I'm like, okay, they got something here, and then they beat the dude, and I'm like, and then the dude cuts his hair, and I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Actually, so the hair thing I got, but I got it way after the fact because they brought it back and he explained it. And I was like, okay, that's a really good reason. But still, after that, like they had nothing for him. And I hate it for him because he had built up such an audience and he was coming on. And then it was like, he's done. And it was
organic. It was organic with him.
Right.
It wasn't forced. He was not supposed to be that guy. But once you see that he is that guy, you got to run with it.
You have to.
Yeah, and they don't. I think they have this idea and they don't pivot.
It was like, and for AEW, I'm going to put this on the fans. Even in the case of Jade, bro. Like, you had something, and then you kind of cool off on it. AEW fans, the hardcores, are like that. It's like they stick with something for a minute and then they cool off on it. It's like they have ADHD. Like it's hot for a second and then it's not. And Tony Khan pays attention to that.
Now I got to disagree with you on that because here's where it comes down to. If you are watching AEW, if you're watching an AEW show and you're expecting to see somebody and that person is gone week after week after week, then when he comes back,
what you're saying.
You don't have, like, it's not the same anymore.
The same affinity is not.
Exactly. It's not.
There. Yeah, I get you.
Because like, what am I cheering? Where the hell you been? And it's like you got to keep starting over. It's like a start, push, stop, push, start, push, stop, push. And Tony Khan is notorious for recycling guys, like, you know, taking them off here, then bringing them back later on. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like the people that I want to see, they're never on a damn show. And then the people that I don't want to see, they're here every week.
And I think that's why I like Collision, because it's
you still watch it?
No, it's uniform for the most part, but yeah. Collision is actually still a great show. It actually
Well, no, I'm just saying, because when CM Punk, they said it was going to be the end of the show, so I'm saying you still watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's still a better show than Dynamite.
Sure. It really is. It really is.
I love Nitro.
It really is.
Hey, that's not an insult to me. I
No,
loved
it's
it.
not.
Yeah,
No,
I take
it's
it.
not.
No.
I take
I've
it.
been saying that. I've been saying that since day one. When the logo first came out, I said, "Dude, this damn logo is WCW Nitro."
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
All
I thought
can
for sure
say-
they should have called it Explosion instead of Collision. Just go all in on the whole Nitro thing.
Well, the problem is that TNA had the Explosion show.
Oh,
And,
yeah. Fair
yeah.
enough. Fair enough.
Still on the rights.
Yep.
Mm.
But no,
Yeah, man.
I will say though, Kevin, I do agree. I'm more on your side where I feel like in general AEW fans are more concerned with being the smartest person in the room
Yes.
than enjoying the product. I feel like whenever I talk to someone that's like, because I love both. I love both. I love pro wrestling for what it is. If it's entertaining, I'll watch it. I don't care. I don't have brand loyalty. But I feel like the people that are truly like all about AEW is superior to WWE, those are the ones that I feel are more concerned with reading dirt sheets and being like, "Yep, see, it was right. I told you." And like,
Yep.
just enjoy the product. Like
Yep.
I'm all about like be an educated fan, know your stuff. But like at the end of the day, we all like this because we were kids, and when we were kids, we weren't concerned about being right. We were concerned about being entertained by the product. And as long as you can keep me entertained, I don't really care if I know where it's going, as long as it's entertaining and it's cohesive and it makes sense. And I feel like whenever I talk with AEW fans, they're more concerned about predicting what the next step is versus celebrating the product. I don't feel like they celebrate the product.
Like with this whole Jade
That
thing,
could just be
like,
my friends too. My friends are
I
jerks.
was like, look at what you had though. But look at what you had.
Oh, yeah. But look at the way that she was treated by the AEW fans. AEW fans were not pro with Jade Cargill. They
sure aren't.
No. And you look at it and you go, why not? Yeah, is she the typical AEW wrestler? Probably not. But why is that a bad thing? Like diversity is good. Have a wide cast. Have your monsters, have your cruiserweights, have all that. Like if you want every single match to be like a Young Bucks Kenny Omega style match, that gets boring to me. Like I don't care how many flips this is. Quick. So have a few monsters. Can they do all the cool spots? Not really, but if you can put them in good stories and if they can hold your attention and if they can make you go, wow, who is that? That's not a bad thing.
Yep.
You don't have to do Canadian destroyers off the top rope every match to be good, I don't know.
That whole thing, you brought up there a little while ago, when we were younger, and I remember growing up, I didn't give a shit about TV ratings and all that. That didn't matter to me. Right. That whole thing actually started really in the mid '90s during the Monday Night War. That's when that started. That's when you saw, and it really, honestly, it really started WCW when Eric Bischoff would take shots at Raw and would give away the results to Raw. And then Vince came back with the Huckster and the Nacho Man, all that stuff. That's when you saw the tide turning where, okay, now people started looking at smart mark fans had always been there, right?
Sure.
But they were starting to get more prevalent during that time frame, especially ECW smart mark fans.
Oh, yeah.
They were starting, so it really morphed into what we have now. And then when we talk about Canadian destroyers, every single match, that type of work rate, it really was, the Spot Fest work rate really started in WCW during the Cruiserweight division, and it got amped up even more in the X division in TNA. That's when you started seeing, because, P.D. Williams was the first one I ever saw do a Canadian destroyer. It was his move.
Yeah.
So, then you started seeing all the spots, AJ Styles was doing shit, Christopher Daniels, whatever. Even Skipper did the cage walk, America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
That's when you started seeing that type of stuff, and it just morphed into what we have today, where it's more about work rate and ratings than it is being a fan and paying attention to the show.
Yeah. I agree.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Definitely agree.
And then, like you said, you got Dave Meltzer out there. Doesn't matter what. How the hell does Kurt Angle not have 85-star matches?
Not
you
one.
You out of your rabbit ass mind.
Yeah. But you got that's a 6-star. Oh, that's a 7-star right there. But Kurt Angle don't have one 5-star match, bro. Like, seriously?
Star ratings and the PWI 500 are the biggest. Just can we be vulgar on the show?
Oh yeah,
fucking yeah.
They're the biggest jerk off fest that there is. Like, it doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. And people try to put so much stock in it. It's one dude's opinion, and it's that dude giving credit to his friends and the people that pay him and do all that stuff to get the attention. It doesn't mean anything. It holds no water.
It could if the criteria wasn't so fucking wonky. Like the criteria.
Well, yeah, if there was any objectivity to it, I'd be down. But you're gonna tell me, like, in what world? I'm sorry, and I'm a Seth Rollins fan, but in what world is Roman Reigns not the number one wrestler in the world right now? Like, any
not
list
even that you had MJF at number 6. I'm like, okay,
yeah, wasn't Viking ahead of him?
Yes,
wasn't he number 5?
Yes,
like, and nothing against Viking,
this is crazy,
but yeah, it's just it means nothing.
I think when it comes down to Seth Rollins actually wrestled more than Roman Reigns. So
by a lot.
You know what I mean? So listen, Roman Reigns is like, Roman Reigns is like the biggest star in WWE. Yeah, but Roman Reigns' story arc was carried by the supporting cast, which was the Usos, which was Sami Zayn, which was Solo, KO, all these different people. It's just not Roman Reigns on his own. That's kind of like, you know what I mean? But Roman in there with his family and the family drama, that's what's carried this shit.
Oh yeah, it's the story, but that's the thing. It's the best story in wrestling.
Yeah, well, it was.
It was. It's getting. Yeah. No.
Yeah, true. All right, so let's move on. So we had a list, 2 actually, that we had to get into tonight. So let's go ahead and top off our first list, and that is our top 5 pay-per-views. Now, if you're watching the show, if you're watching it with us live, we'll give you a second while we start going over ours. Come up with your top 5. Feel free to post them in the comments, and we'll put them in there. But we had our top 5 pay-per-views. We kind of went over this one, and then we'll go into our top 5 superstars or wrestlers of all time. But top 5 pay-per-views, I'll pass it to you, Mike. What you got?
All right, so number 5 for me is the only kind of recent one on my list. It's Double or Nothing 2019. I think it's probably and AEW, that knock them all you want. They put on great pay-per-views. To me, this was the best one just because I felt like there was the most amount of stories going into those matches, and specifically the story and the match of Cody and Dustin. I'm a mark for anybody, any roads. And that match to me, like, I got goosebumps thinking about it. So like, that's a match that I've probably in the recent years, the one I've gone back and watched the most. So I put that on my list for number 5. Number 4, I've got Survivor Series 1989. As a kid, that was the video that I rented from Family Video and Blockbuster and Hollywood the most times. I just love it. It's, it was before, like, there were no stakes. It was just 4-on-4. Rude's Brood versus Rowdy's Rowdies. You had Zeus in there. You had Powers of Pain, which is someone that I always marked out for no good reason, but I loved him. And that's probably the one I've watched the most in my life. So I had to put that on the list. Number 3, I've got SummerSlam 2002. That's just a card that is absolutely stacked. And 2002 is one of those years that it's one of those in-between years. It's post-Attitude Era. It's pre-Ruthless Aggression Era. And so it was sort of interesting where it was like they were kind of finding themselves and redefining themselves. Mm-hmm. And the talent that was carrying them for the last 5 years was meeting the talent that was going to be taking center stage over the next 5 years. So I love that one. Number 2 is Halloween Havoc 96. Again, that's one that hits my heart. I was not an NWO guy. I was a 4 Horsemen guy through and through. So I hated the NWO, hated the NWO. And Hogan just got the title and Savage was my guy. And I'm like, there is no way that Hogan's going to beat Savage again. I still wasn't over WrestleMania 5, the greatest injustice in WrestleMania history. But there was a bunch of great matches on that undercard. That was Malenko and Mysterio. Yeah, just a bunch of good stuff going on there. But for me, the number one wrestling pay-per-view of all time is Royal Rumble 1992, not just for the Royal Rumble match, which was phenomenal, and Bobby and Gorilla on commentary was absolutely fantastic, but that undercard was great. You had Owen and Anvil versus the Orient Express. That was a banger match. You had Roddy Piper and Mountie, which whatever, but Roddy Piper gets his first singles championship in the WWF. That was so cool to see that happen. Natural Disasters, Beverly Brothers was just fun. Like, it's just a great, like, that, those 3 hours fly by. And then when you get to that actual Rumble match for the WWF Championship, it's only happened twice in the history of WWE. And then just the list of people, like, you look at most Royal Rumbles, you're like, okay, there's 2 or 3, maybe 4 guys that could win it. You look at that, you had like 6, 7 guys that could win it. You had Sid Justice coming in. The unpredictability. You look at the last 10 guys in there, you're like, any of them could win it. And it was just awesome. And then, of course, the commentary puts it over the top. And Bobby Heenan is the greatest of all time. And that's his shining moment. So that's always going to be my number 1 pay-per-view.
With a tear in my eye.
The greatest moment
of my life.
Not being a dad, not getting married 17 times.
That moment.
Come on now.
Man, I bought that Royal Rumble anthology set.
Yeah.
And I used to hate it when they would be on there. When you are the king of a WW.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm so glad.
The little blurred out
so
image.
Glad. I'm so glad they don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
God.
All right, Frank D, what you got?
So I know we originally talked about, but I'm switching it up. So,
oh my God.
I told you there's so many, man.
He's calling it in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. So my number 5, I'm actually gonna go with SummerSlam '98, Highway to Hell. Okay. That right there, that was a sad card there. Undertaker versus Steve Austin, WWF Championship. The Rock and Triple H ladder match, IC Championship. The Rock had debuted that cool ass new theme song he came out to. Yeah, those 98 was just that was
D'Lo Val Venus too, which was an underrated opener.
Oh yeah.
Then X-Pac, Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. Hair match.
Hair match. Just the intrigue there of it's Kane with Undertaker. You know, that was peak WWF. Like, it really showed you that, things had changed. So I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to go with, let's see. I'm going to go with Fall Brawl 96 War Games. It was an important show for WCW. It was the Horsemen versus the NWO, but it was also Sting's coming out party. Basically, it was time for Sting to change. He had gotten stale. They fooled me. As a 12-year-old. They got my ass. I thought that was Sting. They got me.
They did a good job.
It looked just like Sting. So hey, touche. WCW, you got me.
They fooled Giovanni too.
Yeah. Like you in the beginning, though, Mike. Like you in the beginning. In the beginning, I did not like the NWO. I was not a fan of the NWO until that War Game show.
That turned you?
That turned me when they beat the shit out of Randy Savage, and they sprayed Elizabeth's dress. I was like, these dudes are fucking cool, man. So
you can't do that to Liz.
That's why I became. That right there is why I became a fan of the NWO. It was right there.
NWO.
Okay, these dudes are cool. These dudes are cool. Then they, did all the stuff like, what did they busted up Lex Luger's his rental car on that WWE Saturday night. So that was cool shit. Let's see, number 3, I got to go with Halloween Havoc 97, and it's not because of the Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio match. I'm going with it because of the Las Vegas sudden death match between Diamond Dallas Page and Macho Man Randy Savage. Macho Man and DDP had a hell of a rivalry that year after Macho turned heel and joined the NWO at Super Brawl that year. And then he had the match with DDP at Spring Stampede and took the Diamond Cutter and put him over. Yeah. So that was it was a good pay-per-view. And people the Piper versus Hollywood Hogan cage match. It wasn't as bad as people wanted to claim that to be. It wasn't. It was.
It just
was,
came after. It came after
Yeah.
the Eddie and Ray match.
It came and it couldn't top DDP in Page, right? Or DDP
Right.
and Savage. It couldn't top that.
It was pretty
And
bad.
it's a Hogan match. What do you expect? It's fucking Hogan and Piper. What do you expect? You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, I'm not tripping about it. Macho Man went up to the top of that cage, and this crazy fucker jumped all the way down.
Yes, he
I'm
did.
like, could have blew his damn knees out and shit. You know what I'm saying? So right there, I'm gonna go with that one. Let's see, number 2, I got to go with WrestleMania 8, the Hoosier Dome, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Well, that's an underrated one.
That is underrated.
That had the one of the best matches I ever saw for the Intercontinental Championship. Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart, Matt Hart.
Absolutely.
Macho Man versus Ric Flair. Okay.
The main event.
The main event. Then you
Yeah.
had Sid versus Hogan. So, but then you also had a hell of an opener, Shawn Michaels versus El Matador, Tino Santana.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
good match.
It was
You know
a
what I'm
great
saying?
match.
Yeah. So then my number 1. And the number 1 is going to be, yeah. I'm like, where do I go with number 1? Where am I going to go? One of the shows that's near and dear to my heart, and it's one of the shows that I used to watch as a kid all the time, and I just thought it was a phenomenal pay-per-view. I'm going with SummerSlam 1990. Rick Rude versus the Ultimate Warrior, WWE Championship, Steel Cage match, Demolition versus Hart Foundation, 2 out of 3 falls. The Rockers versus Power and Glory, even though Shawn Michaels had a busted knee, it was still a good match. Texas Tornado versus Mr. Perfect. Oh my god! I mean, I got it. That right there, that put the Tornado on the map. You put Kerry Von Erich on the map because I mean, yeah, he had did his shit in world class. Everybody knew him, but in the WWF, that's what made him. Now, unfortunately, because of the situation, he couldn't carry the ball. But it was a good moment. I think Vince was trying to recreate the moment that they did with Honky Tonk Man. But if you want to put it into perspective with Warrior, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tried to recreate that. But if you want to put another honorable mention of an Intercontinental Championship match, I got to go with SummerSlam 91.
It's the best.
Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect.
Oh,
what a bad back. What a bad back. Kurt Angle had a bad back and was able to pull that off.
To that shit now and be like, what the fuck?
It's my absolute favorite match of all time.
Yeah,
without a doubt, it is my favorite match of all time.
Oh, we might have to come back for best top 5 matches.
I can do that. I'll come back anytime.
You mentioned SummerSlam 02, and I remember I used to watch. There was 2 matches that I used to watch with my sisters all the time, right? That they really liked. It was the Triple H versus Shawn match. The when Shawn came back, I think it was
the street fight
match.
Street fight. Wrestling in them jeans.
Yeah, them cowboy boots. Yeah. It was that one, and then the other one was the very first Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
Oh, okay. Not at SummerSlam 02.
No, it was at Hell in a Cell in your house.
Bad blood.
Bad blood in your house. There you go.
Yeah.
Kane's debut.
Yep.
So those are 2 matches that we would watch on repeat all the time. But there's been so many, dude. Like underrated War Games match. The what was it? The Dangerous Alliance versus Sting Squadron.
92.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
WCW, very underrated.
Austin Zbyszko, Rude, and Anderson, I think. What a team.
Yeah.
Was that the 4? Austin Zbyszko, Rude, and Anderson, I think. That was a sick match against Sting Squadron. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one. Yeah.
Sting, Harlem Heat, and Sid, I want to say. Yeah, that was a sick one. That was a sick one.
Everyone put worst pay-per-views. Starrcade 97.
Oh. The fast count that wasn't.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
That whole card was.
Starrcade 98.
We don't talk about 97.
Starrcade 99.
Starrcade 2000.
There is no Starrcade
Pretty much,
2001.
yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. Which is
No, there
so
was.
weird too, because that was like their self-professed like biggest event of the year, and pretty much after like '93, it sucked. Like Halloween
Well,
Havoc was better than
look,
it every year.
look at what. Well, so Eric Bischoff has said that their actual big show was Halloween Havoc. It wasn't Starrcade.
Yeah.
Starrcade was their indie show, and Starrcade, Starrcade 2000 was just horrible, a horrible show.
I've
really
blocked
that was the
WCW
end.
2000 out of my main.
That was the
the
yeah.
end.
That was
Was
the
that when they
decline.
did the big? Was that when they did the big reset? Like all the titles got vacated and all that stuff.
No, that happened
No.
earlier in the year.
Yeah,
Oh, that was
That was
earlier? Okay.
That was that. Yeah, the first you're talking about the Vince Russo Bischoff thing. That was
Yeah.
around That was April 2000. So,
Okay.
but this Starrcade here, this was like with the Natural Born Thrillers and shit. It's just
Oh, yeah. Rough.
It happens.
yeah.
It happens. So before we go to the top 5, I'll give you my 5 real quick. So it's kind of the only one I had that was different from anybody's was well, you changed yours up, Frank.
I sure did.
It was, SummerSlam 02, stacked card, Royal Rumble 92, pretty much the Hall of Famer card, Bash at the Beach 96, which had one of the best endings ever in the history of the business. Mania 19, specifically Rock Hogan did it for me for that one. And then Mania 17, probably the best Mania in my opinion.
Wait. Rock Hogan was 18.
18.
I mean, not Rock Hogan, Rock Stone Cold. Sorry.
Yeah. That was Rock Stone Cold 3.
Rock Stone Cold, yeah.
Yeah.
The last one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, your
Rock's
honorable
Revenge.
mentions.
WrestleMania 10.
WrestleMania 10 is a great card.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble 90 for me, more for the undercard than the actual event. That was one perfect. Should have won that one. Hogan winning that made no sense whatsoever.
AEW, the first Double or Nothing, almost made my top 5.
That was the first one that was like
actually
actually branded AEW, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had all in, and yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. I tell you what, I'm probably gonna get some flack for this, but I love Hog Wild. I love the concept of like the outdoor.
You're not
event.
alone because I felt
Thank
like
you.
that.
Thank you. I love that
I
one.
watch Hog Wild. I watch Hog Wild 96 all the time.
Okay,
And
good.
That pay-per-view there, especially with Harlem Heat out there.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
Yeah,
That's so good.
That wasn't a bad card at all. I mean, you had Harlem Heat versus Steiners. You had Ric Flair versus Eddie Guerrero.
Yep.
You had Hall and Nash versus Sink and Luger. And that's when Nick Patrick, Luger was trying to get Scott Hall for the torture rack. And
He hit him.
Patrick goes down and then hits him again in the back of the leg.
Yeah.
Hogan versus Giant. I mean, in Hogan versus Giant was like a slow, really methodical kind of match, but it was telling the story of Hogan. Hogan was getting cheered, y'all.
He
was telling
was.
people, "Shut up!" Like he was trying to do the best. He was trying to do anything he could to be a bad guy. They were chanting Hogan out there, right? He's standing outside. He looks at the people. And he's like, "You stupid bastards, just don't get it." Like because they didn't know they didn't. These were not wrestling.
It wasn't. No, they were
bikers.
Yeah. They were bikers, but they knew who Hulk Hogan was. That's
right.
They knew who Hogan was, and I think they liked the look. The black, just for man beard.
Oh.
They loved it. No, that's what Hogan said on Jay Leno show. They asked him, "How do you do the black beard?" "Oh, just for man, brother. My wife does."
Yep.
Linda.
Yeah. His ex-wife.
Yep. All right, man. Top 5 wrestlers of all time. This should be a fun one. Let's start with you, Frank D. What you got?
Top 5 wrestlers of all time. I'm going to go with Gilbert. I'm going to go
Shut
with...
up. Shut up. Disco Inferno.
Oh, shit. No. So, top 5, dude. Like, I got to go. I got to go. Number 5 is going to be Scott Hall for me. Scott Hall. Dude, Scott Hall he just had the it, man. I mean, the dude had the size. He could work in the ring. He got a promo. The guy had swag before swag was even a word, bro. Like, you just look at go back and look at Scott Hall in WCW as a diamond stud, and that's where he created that look. It was DDP who created that, so they could have won that lawsuit. But anyways, so I gotta go Scott Hall number 5. Number 4, Macho Man Randy Savage, big time. Randy Savage was always one of my favorites. So much charisma. He just had the total it factor. So I'm going to go with him. Number 3, Bret the Hitman Hart for me. Really big fan of Bret Hart. Always loved his work. Always made it look real. Just Bret had Bret had it. Only thing Bret Hart was, in my opinion, was kind of weak on was promos.
Yeah.
I think Bret was always weak on his promos. And he'll tell you he was weak on his promos. You know what I'm saying? So.
And he wasn't bad. It just
wasn't bad.
Great.
He wasn't great.
He didn't really. I don't know if I can't speak to say he didn't really care for him, but it was just like, I'd rather be wrestling than talking.
Yeah, exactly. Number 2, I am gonna have to go Ric Flair. Ric Flair, people say, "Oh, Ric Flair had the same match every night." Well, it was entertaining. You know what I'm saying?
Good match.
And
Very much so.
He always delivered in the ring. You know what I'm saying? So then my number 1, I'm probably gonna get a lot of heat for this, but I don't really give a shit. I'm gonna go Hulk Hogan, because Hogan was the biggest star in the business. If it wasn't for Hogan, it wouldn't have got the exposure that it did. And Hogan was in the right place at the right time for that spot. Nobody in this industry, in my opinion, could have took that spot. Just like with the NWO angle, nobody else could have pulled that off. There was, we'll send Sting, but Sting wouldn't work. It wouldn't have the same effect. I was just watching that show yesterday, just to watch back and just look at the crowd at Bash at the Beach 96 in that main event when Hogan comes out there. And they think that he's coming out there to save him. Even the police officers are out there thinking like, "Oh shit, it's Hulk Hogan. He's going to come out there and save him." No, he does the exact opposite of that.
He breaks your fucking heart.
He did. He broke the fucking heart. Oh, 10,000. We got 10,000 calls to TNN or the CNN Center because of this shit here. You made my kids cry, asshole. So I'm gonna go that route, man. Like you're never gonna see Shawn Michaels on my list. You ain't never gonna see. Yeah. It's a bunch of people that you would think would be on my list are not gonna be on my list. Now if we were doing top 10, maybe. The top 5.
I get it.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I get it. All right, Mike, what you got?
All right. Well, I need to preface this by saying if you're talking most important wrestlers, sure, you can put Hogan on that list. But just like Shawn Michaels will never be on your top 5, Hulk Hogan will never be on my top 500 because fuck Hulk Hogan. But my list personally, I start by saying you got to separate the art from the artist. Some people can do it, some people can't. I can. My number 5 is Chris Benoit. I think Chris Benoit was the best in-ring wrestler of all time. I loved it. Fair. I'm not going to argue it. But
let me just say, that is a bold fucking choice.
I know.
I'm not mad at it.
I gotta be honest with myself. Like I of course I hate what he did. I will never forgive it. I don't justify it. I just be, the brain damage and all stuff. Yeah, sure, but a lot of other ones had brain damage that didn't kill their wife and kids. So like I'm not gonna justify that. But if I want to be entertained, I'm putting on a Chris Benoit match. So he's my number 5. Number 4 is Ric Flair. Again, you talk about that it factor. You talk about to me promos are so important, and Ric Flair is among the very best at it. Number 3 is Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. That was when I was like 10-year-old me was more than a little obsessed with Shawn Michaels. My room was Shawn Michaels. I had the little biker hat and the heart sunglasses and the whole 9 yards, Shawn Michaels, and just, Mr. WrestleMania. Again, put on any Shawn Michaels match, you're going to be entertained. Number 2, Macho Man Randy Savage, best promo in the biz. I think even better than Flair. He was so entertaining, so creative, so quick on his feet. And then you can look at a lot of people do an elbow drop, and it all kind of looks the same. And then you watch Randy Savage do an elbow drop, and it's whole other world, man. Like I could watch Randy Savage do elbow drops all day and all night. But my number one, my personal favorite wrestler of all time, I think mainly because he does not get the respect or credit he deserves, is Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. I loved Kurt Hennig. He was always he was the first heel that I really loved as a fan, like a little kid loving Mr. Perfect. Hated that Hulk Hogan threw him out at Royal Rumble 1990, and then that SummerSlam 91 match, man. Of course, there's two people in that ring. I'm not taking anything away from Bret Hart, but dude went into that match knowing he needed surgery on his back. That very well could have put him out for life, and he sold. No one was better at getting their ass kicked than Mr. Perfect. And I think you have to respect that in this business, because he very rarely went over, but he always got over, and he always got you over. And I think he was an underrated promo. He didn't talk a lot. He didn't have the 5-minute monologues in the ring, but he was concise. He was good. You believed him. And it was just one of those guys, whether you loved him or you loved to hate him, love is still in there. And I love me some Mr. Perfect, man. And you talk about breaking your heart, and NWO 97 Fall Brawl, when he slammed that cage on Ric Flair's head. Talk about conflicted. Yeah, I hate the NWO, but I love Mr. Perfect. What do I do, man? Like that was like the moment in my wrestling life that gave me the most heartache. So he's my number one, dude.
You know what's funny about that is that they believe, and I don't believe this, but some people believe that was the night that WCW killed Winston-Salem. They killed the town.
They say that it's bullshit.
I don't believe that. There was so much heat with that. And the fact is, okay, so if you follow the story at the time with Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair, they had been enemies in the WWF. Ric Flair's last match in the WWF was against. So why would you think that Kurt's going to come to WCW and not be a part of the NWO?
Because Ric Flair is a horrible judge of character. Ric Flair is a horrible judge of character.
He was. So why would you not think that? The guy was tag team partners with Scott Hall in the AWA. So why would you not think that he's not going to be affiliated with the NWO? For the most part, were all former WWF guys. So why wouldn't Kurt Hennig fit in that?
Especially at that time.
Especially at that time. You know what I'm saying? But then Kurt, and real quick on Kurt, even after the NWO, Kurt had another run with the West Texas Rednecks. I enjoy it. It gave Barry Windham another shot in the arm. I was always big. Barry Windham is another honorable mention for me. I was always a big Barry Windham fan. I love his fucking.
I love this work. Matches. Yeah, I love this work.
Those early Clash of the Champions, Windham had some bangers on those early Clash of the Champions.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. All right, so my top 5. I'm going to start with Eddie Guerrero. Probably one of the most fluid wrestlers I've ever seen in my life. I think one of the reasons that got me into him, my cousin was a tape trader, and I forget who it was, but it was him and Bart Starr. It was the only tag team match I'd ever seen with him and Bart Starr on it. I've never seen it again anywhere else. But him and Bart Starr did a match, and Bart Starr, I thought his frog splash was way better.
You mean Art Bar?
I mean Art Bar.
Art Bar.
The Art Bar, my bad. Bart Starr. Art Bar. But yeah, I thought his frog splash was way better, but I got into him there. But Eddie Guerrero at number 5, Rock at number 4, just because in my teenage years, it caught on.
We all want to be the Rock, bro.
Yep. Yeah. Definition of cool.
Yep.
The Rock says, the Rock's on the way to smack down on your candy ass.
Yep.
I got detention for telling my teacher it didn't matter what she said. But
you know what I got detention for?
Suck it?
I told the teacher. I told my, hey, you.
Suck it. That's awesome. At number 3, I have, because I'm from Louisiana, and this is probably the most famous wrestler ever from Louisiana, to me, Junkyard Dog. Is that number 3?
Nice.
Number 2, for the same reason you had him at number 5, I have him at number 2. A lot of people don't realize how influential Scott Hall is to the wrestling industry. How many people he's actually impacted in the business. To the fact that when we had Ahmed Johnson on here a couple weeks ago, and he spoke about how Scott Hall helped him, and that was him. Gave Sting the Crow idea, gave Hogan the idea to switch over to NWO. Like his hands are on history. So for that, and just the fact that he was so cool, and there's a picture of him in the hood in Miami, solo dolo, chilling like a motherfucker. I want to put him number one. Like I really do. But Macho is my number one. And that's just because also as a kid, the Macho Man was like, this goes back to me in my grandmother's house, on the arm of the couch, pillow on the floor, mimicking the fucking elbow, bro. Like
we all did.
Hell yeah.
I used to jump off fucking at school, just to jump off the fucking whatever it is, and jump on the goddamn concrete. Like, what are you fucking doing, dude? Being the Macho Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's my top five.
It's a good top five.
So,
that story is funny as hell though. That one's you talk about Macho real quick. That story with Scott Hall said about Macho with the boots. He said so. Scott Hall comes in one day. He says, "Hey, Mach, those pretty nice boots you got on. What do you mean by that?" Like just like paranoid as fuck. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
Like what the? Like they're nice.
They're nice boots. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? And then the other one at the bar. It's not fair. What's not fair? It's not fair. It's not fair that you and Nash get all the pussy.
Long live Macho.
Long live Macho.
He is living. We stab into a Slim Jim, brother.
Yep.
Dig it.
Oh yeah.
To this day, yeah. Slim Jim is synonymous with Macho Man.
Yep.
To this day.
LA Knight's trying.
He will never. LA Knight will never. Respectfully. You will never.
We just talked about this on the last show too. I don't get LA Knight. I don't get it.
Oh, I get it. I love LA Knight. I didn't know him in Impact. I didn't follow Impact, so like I didn't know Eli Drake and all that stuff. But as soon as he was doing that angle with Cameron Grimes for the $1 million title, I was like, I was on board. I was on board from there, and I'm staying on board. I don't know. And being in there at SummerSlam, I tell you, loudest pop of the night. It was.
Well, that's like I didn't get it at all either. But we were at the Royal Rumble. It started there, where like the fans were just like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What the fuck are they like?" I'm like, "What are they doing?" Like at the Royal Rumble, and this is all show, and I'm like, "These people are fucking stupid."
It's the new woo.
But it caught on, and I'm like, "That's crazy."
Yep.
Yeah,
he's over, man.
Stone Cold.
Yeah,
I'll think Stone Cold Steve Austin. If I want to watch Stone Cold, I'll watch the network.
I don't get, like, I don't think, personally, I don't think he's doing that much ripping off of the Attitude Era. I mean, the influence you can see is there, but I don't know. I think he's got enough uniqueness about him that keeps him his own entity.
I think he is, but I think he took it and made it his own. Yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, okay. Well, good artists create, great artists steal. So
I think one of the biggest issues I have with, and it's not, and maybe this is my problem with LA Knight, and this is a big problem with me with a lot of people. I do not like his fucking music.
Oh,
this dude needs another song. I don't like the name LA Knight. What the fuck is that supposed to mean anyway?
Well, that's not his choice.
If I go there, am I going to be the Dark Knight? You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's not his choice, but it's like, dude, put a little bit of creative input on there. Like, can I do something else? Can I do?
Well, it was Max Dupree.
It's better than Max Dupree. You got to admit that. LA Knight's better than Max Dupree.
Gonna be called Max Knight. Shit.
LA Max.
But They named somebody Mace, and they were gonna name what was that name? They were gonna do something about
Frosty McFreeze or whatever.
Yeah, or Frosty McFingerbang or some shit.
Yeah,
That would have went over well.
you would have put it over.
I know, Jeff. I know that Dark Knight Say Goodbye bad. I know that.
All right, man. So let's get into the last segment of the night. We had we're gonna bring back our back in the day segment, and tonight we're gonna be reacting to.
Oh yeah, real quick.
Right.
So everybody who's listening right now, if you're listening to the audio version of this show on Spotify, you will not hear back in the day. We do not play the back in the day segment on the audio version of the show due to copyrights from World Wrestling Entertainment. The only way you're going to see that is you have to be a part of the Patreon. So join the Patreon of the DFPN for $3. You get to watch what we watch. You dig it? Dig it. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So here we go. We're gonna.
Last time we did that, I was listening to the show, and the shit like I'm listening to the show, and it's like, oh, we got a new segment. I'm listening to it. I'm like, you skip right over it. What the fuck?
What did you do? Like
exactly. Buddy,
as soon as I put that shit up, it was like the heavens opened, and God Himself was like, "You better take that shit down for WWE gets your ass." This is a warning. Right. Consider it.
That was great. That was Saturday morning. That was Saturday morning. WWF.
Yes,
yeah. Dude. But we're missing the whole thing though, because the lead up to this was actually when Jake turned heel, right? Remember he was doing that shit with the Ultimate Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Warrior got fired, and then Jake turned his attention to Randy Savage.
Yeah,
so that's when he teamed up with Taker, and that happened at SummerSlam '91. But that's one of the most underrated feuds too. Macho Man versus Jake Roberts.
Yeah.
That Tuesday in Texas.
And so they sold a pay-per-view on it. 2 days notice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they knew what the hell they were doing.
Oh yeah.
I was watching that particular segment at my grandmother's house. My grandmother's deathly afraid of snakes. Bro, she was like, she screamed her head off. What are you? Turn the channel. Hell no.
I think that segment made me afraid of snakes.
You know what's even funnier is that Jake, Jake was good here, right? But Jake got more creepy and demented and more evil when he got to WCW.
Oh, yeah.
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 With his run with Sting.
Yeah. I wish he would have lasted longer than what it was, but Jake had his issues with Bill Watts. So
a lot of people had their issues with Bill Watts.
Yeah.
Well, that's not on Jake. Yeah. So that was awesome. That's legendary. Like I said, that was we were talking about before we got on the air. That was that I was 4 when that happened, and that was almost the end of wrestling in the Mueller house because my mom saw that and she's like, "Nope, nah, let's find Power Rangers or something. Like we're not doing this." And I pleaded with her, "Come on, I gotta find out what happens."
Nah,
I won her over.
But he's dead, bro.
Yeah.
he died.
Yep. Man, that was awesome.
Talking about tears, bro. Like, he killed him.
Oh, the kids crying, man. It's great.
He killed him.
That was not supposed to happen.
Yes. Which is kind of one of the first breaking kayfabe sort of teasers in there, saying this is not supposed to happen. Well, nothing's supposed to happen, is it, Vince? But yeah, that's one of those angles that I feel like does not get enough credit as far as legendary moments in the history of wrestling and really pushing the envelope in a way that you hadn't seen done before.
I think that one of the other segments that really pushed the envelope that you really had never saw before, and it did its purpose, and it just made you feel real weird after it. It was the segment during the funeral parlor when the Ultimate Warrior got locked in the casket by the Undertaker.
And they
were trying to get him out,
trying to open it.
But the thing about it is, Bruce Pritchard says, so they didn't really like Warrior all that much, so they were taking their sweet ass time. And when he's beating them with when he's beating the casket with the sledgehammer, he's putting some extra punch in things. They just did not like Warrior.
Yeah, let him stay in there a little while longer.
Exactly, they were in no rush to take him out.
Yeah,
It's fucked up.
But real quick, going back to what you were saying earlier, Mike, about Hogan in the Rumble.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know, but Hogan actually was kind of tired at that point of that's why they went with Warrior that year, because Hogan wanted to be done being on top. Because you remember that year, the whole point of him winning the Rumble was that little interaction he had with the Ultimate Warrior during that match.
Yeah, but he
they were never gonna give it to Perfect. It just wasn't gonna happen.
Can I make my case?
That should have been in a second. There were so many people that should have been a WWF champion that never got the WWF championship. One of them was Mr. Perfect.
Sure.
Another one was the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, should have been the WWF champion. Why that never happened, I don't know why it never happened. You know what I mean? So,
all right. So here's my thing, and here's why Perfect should have won that Rumble.
okay.
One, so if you look back at the '89 Rumble, you had the Hogan Savage interaction in there that led perfectly to their WrestleMania match. Hogan didn't win that Rumble. That was fine. So having Hogan and Warrior have that, you still have that moment in there. Absolutely. But I think you have Perfect win that Rumble for a few reasons. One, at that point, Perfect was still undefeated, and this didn't technically end his undefeated streak. But more importantly, from a business standpoint, Hogan and Perfect were going around the bend at the house shows, main eventing house shows.
Mhm.
And if you want to intrigue me into buying a ticket to a house show, why on earth would I think that Mr. Perfect would have a chance in hell against Hulk Hogan when Perfect comes in at number 30, still loses to Hogan? Now he's going to go beat him in a house show? No way. I want to see Hogan get his revenge on Mr. Perfect, sell some tickets for the house show, have Perfect lose to Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake anyway at WrestleMania 6, and it can also go the same way. But to me, I thought it was a huge mistake to not capitalize on the momentum that you had. Perfect was the biggest heel in the business at the time, and it wasn't for a long time. But that early 1990, that was the best time for Mr. Perfect. Don't forget, he had the Genius beat Hulk Hogan on Saturday night's main event by countout, and they smashed the belt. You had good stuff going. But to me, that was Hogan getting his revenge on Perfect for the belt smashing, for all that stuff. So now I don't need to go see him on the house show.
Yeah, but here's the
during
thing. Hogan, the way Bruce Pritchard always says it,
Hogan must pose.
Hogan must pose.
But
it wasn't Hogan's idea.
No, and I'm not blaming Hogan for this. I'm kind of blaming Hogan for this. But why can't, with the help of the Genius, Mr. Perfect eliminate Hulk Hogan in some bullshit way? Mr. Perfect wins. Hogan gets right back in, beats the crap out of him, throws him out, and then poses. Like, you could still get everything you want out of Hogan Must Pose, all that stuff. But it's to me, you killed that house show circuit, and the numbers don't lie. Numbers were down. Those were some of the worst numbers that Hogan ever did on the house show loop. And he was getting tired, and people were getting a little tired of him, kind of by that point. But that to me was just a missed opportunity. And then it would have made Beefcake's victory over him that much more impressive, because that would have been the first time Perfect had lost on TV in any capacity. So to me, you killed it for Hogan to win a meaningless Rumble. He did not need to win that Rumble to go to WrestleMania. That was not a stipulation in 1990. There was no.
Yeah, true.
There was no benefit.
I don't think they took the Royal Rumble. That's the whole point of it.
It was still a fairly new concept at that time.
Yeah.
I don't think the Rumble. The Rumble wasn't. The Rumble wasn't really important. The Rumble didn't get important until the '92 Rumble when you had stakes.
Right.
So I get your point. I get your point there about Mr. Perfect should have went over. But at the same time, I get from a business standpoint. Okay, fuck the house shows for a minute. We're building to Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. That's where we're going.
That's the money.
That's the money. I get that whole thing, but Kurt's a mid-card player here. Hogan is your biggest star. The other big star is the Ultimate Warrior. That's who you're going with. So honestly, if things had been turned a different way, right? If this is what I would have done, I would have had Macho Man Randy Savage go babyface. You could have feuded Macho Man with Mr. Perfect. I think that would have been a better match for WrestleMania 6. That's what I would have done. But Macho Man had just, he was already into his heel run at that point. But I would have done that because I always wanted to see, like, what would that have been? Macho versus Kurt Hennig, you know,
Yeah.
in that time frame. So that's why I would have been. But I get it. Hogan. I just look at it from a numbers point of view, and just look at where they were going with WrestleMania 6 and the fact that Hogan wanted to be out for a few, and they had to bring him back because Warriors just couldn't. Like, damn, Vince, you know, you promised me, brother, that this dude was going to get over. I did everything I could to get him over. We practiced the match with Warrior. You know, Pat Patterson produced it. We practiced. This guy just didn't have it. So they had to keep going back to Hogan. They had to keep going back because nobody could. I mean, shit, dude. Like,
well, at that time too, it wasn't really. They weren't really giving the heel the belt at that time.
no, and that's the thing. Like Vince, the way it was, the WWF, the New York territory was always the babyface territory.
Right.
So you rarely saw the heels go over like that. So and I get what you're saying. The whole thing of Mr. Perfect beating him and then Hogan coming back and Hogan must boast. It's not the same as people want to see Hogan win, because you want the fans to go home happy, and that's what they attempted to do. Is send the fans home happy because it was babyface territory. And I just, I think people at the time just didn't see Mr. Perfect on that level, even though he's working house shows with Hogan. This wasn't on that level.
I think this could have put him on that level, personally. He's not going to get on that level if you don't get him over.
I said
he's always getting everyone else over.
I don't think so, because at the same time, how many people were actually going to the house shows? I mean, the business was going down at that point, anyways. You know, the wrestling business is always it's always, the wrestling business is cyclical like that. It has its highs and has its lows. Hogan, that was just it. It's just the business was down. I mean, I listened to Bruce Pritchard's podcast when it was actually a good podcast to listen to. The business was down. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't know. House shows are always much more fun, anyways. So
they are.
If you could have had Mr. Perfect beat Hogan in a DQ on house shows,
and I think he did a couple times, but
yeah. And I don't know, and I don't really think, honestly, I don't think Kurt really cared about any of that shit. It's all business. Kurt was making a lot of money, even working. Anybody who worked with Hogan would go on. There was plenty of dudes that wanted to do that loop with Hogan. You're making money. You know what I'm saying? So I think, but definitely you want to put it in there. Kurt should have been WWE champion. Kurt had all the tools to be the champion. Why that never happened, I don't know. Why it never happened with DiBiase, I don't know. Well, I kind of do know with DiBiase. That had to do with my boy, the Honky Tonk Man. That's where that happened.
Oh.
So, yeah, Honky Tonk Man, that one to put over Macho Man in that Saturday Night's Main Event, that kind of screwed DiBiase, because then they made the tournament, and
it's all downhill from there.
Downhill from there.
Yep.
Real quick, Mike, I gotta ask you real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So earlier, when I was talking about SummerSlam 90, and I brought up the Texas Tornado, so
why you gotta bring that back up?
Yeah. so I take it you like the outcome.
No, not even a little bit. Look, it's perfect. He's my number one for a reason. I got nothing against Kerry Von Erich. Texas Tornado. That's fine, but it's a short match. It's not a good match, and it wasn't. I don't know, man. Perfect losing to Bret Hart, SummerSlam 91, totally fine, totally cool. Even not
Texas,
not Tornado, man. No, it didn't
wasn't
make
the original person. Tornado was the original opponent for Perfect.
And it was supposed to be Beefcake, which that wouldn't sit any better with me. But it's he's I don't know. Tornado, that was.
Well, they couldn't call him the modern day Warrior because Vince had the Ultimate Warrior.
Wanted to.
That was one of the things. Yeah.
And he had his little tassels and whatever.
Yeah.
But
well, you only had those on because of the prosthetic foot.
Yeah.
Which how does that not be a story? Like, that is money. That story is
after
money.
the fact, but he didn't.
Well, nobody knew.
No, yeah,
nobody knew. Like Fritz announced it after Kerry's death that he had a prosthetic foot. And that's really I don't know. You remember that match he had with Jerry Lawler?
Yeah.
When they got all bloody, and it was AWA. I think it was Superclash or some shit.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about that match.
Yeah. And that's before the injury. Because they said when the injury happened with Kerry, that's when Kerry went downhill as far as like the drugs and shit. It was a damn injury.
Sure.
So,
That sucks, man.
It's a rough one.
Yeah.
So real quick, Mike. So what did you think about Kurt's when he came back in 2002 to the WWF? What did you think about?
Oh,
his
at the Rumble, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved the spot at the Rumble. I mean, he didn't do that much after that, but I mean, he had a match with Stone Cold. He had some moments. I just was so impressed that he came back and looked as good as he did, because you know those end days in WCW were starting to get a little rough. You know, his mobility not nearly there, and to see him put on that performance that he did in 02 was just fantastic. It was perfect. He's just one of those guys. And my favorite Mr. Perfect story is that he does the spit out the gum and hit it. Vince was very adamant that he not do that on live shows like pay-per-views and stuff like that, because if he does it and he misses, he's not Perfect. Perfect did it every time, never cared, and always hit it. There's not one clip of Perfect missing that gum. And I think that just said, I mean, the dude was what he said he was. He was perfect. And I don't know. I love him. I love him.
He missed it a couple of times in WCW, but
but he wasn't Mr. Perfect in WCW.
I got you. I got you.
So
the only thing I will say about that match he had with Stone Cold, because I remember that night, is, and this is what I would have done, and it would have worked out perfect because there's history there. I would have had Perfect rejoin the NWO that night when that happened, because he had the NWO were backstage with Kurt, and they had a little backstage interaction there. I would have done that. That would have instantly put another member in the NWO, because at this point, Hogan was up in age, so but Hogan could still kind of go. Right. Scott Hall could still kind of go, but you need another guy there that could be that worker that could go, and Kurt could have been that guy. So I think they really missed the ball there with Kurt Mr. Perfect back with the NWO. Because I mean, they even put the Big Show back in the group at one point, you know. What I mean? So
right,
that's
I would have liked that. That would have been nice. That would have been good.
Yeah.
Was not a fan of that iteration of the NWO.
I don't think anyone really was.
Not at all. All right, man. Final thoughts. What we got?
I'll let you take it away.
Final thoughts is, hey, Jeff is out there in the comments. So, Jeff, I don't know, sir, if you saw Ahsoka yet or not. Wasn't one of my favorite episodes. So that's my final thoughts. Yeah,
hot take.
I wasn't a fan of it.
Okay, we gotta wait till Monday for this one.
Yeah, probably.
That's a hot take.
I got some shit to say.
Nah, I kind of agree with you, actually.
It was like, meh.
Yeah, actually, for what it was, it should have been better. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's not going to top episode 5 with Anakin Skywalker. So,
but no.
This is all going way over my head.
we're talking Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, we're talking Star Wars. So sometimes it flies over. You know, sometimes we'll razz the ass or whatever. You know.
For my money, it was meh, but
my final thought, to bring it back full circle, I think this WrestleMania, you got Jade Cargill on the top of the card for the women by next year's WrestleMania.
I agree.
I'm not there yet.
You'll get there.
I need to see what our first couple of months looks like, and then I'll be able to, because I'm not pegging her to be at the top of the card just yet. Maybe next year, dominant run, top of the card. This year, it's too soon for me to say that. We're in September. That's fast track. That's super fast track.
It is, but I mean, she can win that Rumble. There's a lot of things you can do with her. I think too, though, I think they want her to be at that level because they want to be able to say, "Hey, not happy in AEW, not going where you think you're going.
Here's the WrestleMania.
Look what's happening over here. Look what's happening over here with
that's
AEW
a
people."
Great fucking bargaining chip. I like that idea.
I'm predicting right now, Jade Cargill is going to win the Women's Royal Rumble.
I'll double down on that.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because you say the fast track, Warrior beat Honky Tonk Man in August at SummerSlam. By fucking March, April of 1990, he was wrestling Hogan for the WWF Championship.
But
as
that
the
was
Intercontinental champ.
a year and a half because that was SummerSlam '88
Oh, you're
to
right.
90. So that
I
was a
forgot
year and
about
a
that.
half.
There you go.
Yep, that was a year and a half.
But 89 SummerSlam, he regained the belt from Rick Rude.
Yes, he
And
did.
he's wrestling.
Yep.
So basically, you got another shot here, and he's wrestling Hogan at WrestleMania 6. So it's kind of like they stopped the push and then restarted the push again for the Warrior.
Yeah.
So that could happen with Jade. And then on top of that, I think it is a situation where, too, you're going to look because 2024 is a big year because a lot of people's contracts coming
A
up.
lot of
So
contracts.
we're like, we're going to put this person over. So because we want all these AEW people over here who might be kind of skittish about what's going on. Look what we did over here with Jade Cargill. Look what we did with Cody. Look what we're doing with CM Punk.
Yeah.
Survivor Series people.
Chicago.
Yeah.
They be fools not to.
Oh, you have to. You have to.
I think they should. I don't think they will, but I think they should.
I'm not so sure they won't. I think they might.
I hope they do. I'm
kind
here
of
for Punk.
seeing Jade Cargill in WWE was something I didn't think that wasn't on the bingo card this year.
No,
it was not. So CM Punk is definitely now in the realm of possibility.
Punk said his schedule is going to be changing in a couple months. That's what he said.
Exactly.
I'm here for it.
That's definitely in the realm of possibility.
And I can't wait. Give this dude a live mic pipe bomb 2.0. Yeah.
Oh man.
In Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Great stuff. All right, my final thoughts is BCP is actually up right now. They're doing their Wrestle Dream predictions. So once we get off here, I'm gonna head on over.
I don't like the name of that pay-per-view, dude.
It's a wet dream. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
AEW Wet Dream.
Exactly.
It's for Inoki. So
I get it. I understand. I just don't like the name.
Yeah.
I don't know unless it's not all dream.
How come they couldn't steal any more WWE names like they did Bash at the Beach, a few years ago? Why can't they steal one of those?
You know why? Cody's back. Cody's back home.
I still cannot believe that WWE does not have the rights, and that's one of the reasons why this show's not on the network. They don't have the rights to Superstars Wrestling. It's fucking crazy.
Really?
Nope.
Yeah, they don't have it. An independent promoter has Superstars Wrestling. That's why that show is not on the network.
No,
because they can't. Yeah, that's why if you watch any of the old stuff,
I thought that was weird.
Prime time, they blur out of wrestling. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
No kidding. You learned me something today.
Yeah, well, I kind of know things.
There you go.
But yeah, man. So head on over to BCP, tap in with them before they get off the air and get your picks in. For any other promotion out there that is listening, because twice in 1 week, I've heard stuff that was said on No Gimmicks make their way out into the bigger platform.
Yeah, isn't that fucking crazy how that happened?
So if you are listening to No Gimmicks, please give us our props when you are saying the shit you say.
Just
Please.
A little credit. Just a little credit.
Y'all ain't even got just say, hey, we heard this on the smaller platform. I know it was us.
Yeah, when you have word for word what the fuck we're talking about.
Just say it. Just say it. Just let us know you're listening. Jeez.
Well, let me give a small plug here. So this coming Monday night, the United States Department of Nerds, I'm probably going to be on that show again. We're going to talk about Ahsoka. We're going to do our Star Wars thing on there. I'm going to lay the smackdown on their candy asses like I always do. And we'll do that. So if you have you join a Patreon for $3, that'll get you in, tap in with us, and we'll do our thing. Also, like I said, we just reacted to the Back in the Day segment with Jake the Snake Roberts and the Snake with the Macho Man Ring Savage. You will not hear that on the audio version of the show. So it's going to be some crazy editing going here, but you won't hear it. Because I didn't hear it when we first did it. I'm like listening, but waiting for it. Oh, that was a good shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, is something wrong with my ears here? Like, what is going on here?
Nah,
like you got me, and I hit you up right then and there too. I sent you a hot message.
I know. Gotta Gotta stop. We gotta stop the bills, man. Stop the bills. All right, man. Nobody else got anything else?
I'm gonna put myself over. I'm just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say if you're not checking me out already, Sweet Chin Musings. Me and my boy Luke do a little bit of everything. Mainly talk about the current product, but we do old school stuff and all that stuff too. I am also a proud sponsor of BCP Plus, and if you're a football fan, I do weekly recaps for the Raiders on the BCP Plus. It is a rough start to the year, but I try to make it as entertaining as possible. So if you liked me on here, give me a follow. Facebook, Sweet Chin Musings. You can find it on all the podcast platforms.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Oh, thank you, man. This was a blast.
Yeah, this was fun. We got it. You have an invite here whenever.
Anytime.
If you're ever looking for some company on your show, like, let us know, man.
For sure, dude.
Know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we'll collaborate. We'll have our own Forbidden Door, you know.
For sure.
There you go. There are no forbidden doors here.
None.
That's right.
Open board. No, I shouldn't say that.
Careful who you let in.
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that at all.
Yeah, watch yourself on that one.
Yeah, I know. But for everybody else, man, thank y'all for tuning in to the No Gimmicks podcast here on the DFPN. Until next time, you guys be easy. And as always, enjoy the fucking wrestling. Peace.